Hey you all, so I am introducing the Black Becky series, and this is actually the first installment in that series, although it's quite possible that at some point I will move this to my public like page. So please be sure to find me on Facebook, and I also have a public Twitter page. And the reason I'm introducing this series is because I do think we need to be better at taking what people mean as an insult and finding a way to frankly market it. Now, we know that Black Becky is a term that is pretty much intended to be an insult if you are a black woman who doesn't fit into certain stereotypes, or even now it's gotten to the point where if you're a black woman and when they don't like the way we wear our hair, if they don't like the color, the style, or if they don't like the way we wear our makeup, then they say, oh, you're trying to be a quote unquote Black Becky. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that term, but what I really plan on doing is making it like a lifestyle blog, particularly for black women who maybe you do things that are viewed as being outside of the box for us as black women. So maybe you participate in certain organizations or hobbies, and when you go into those spaces you find that you are one of the few black people there. Or maybe you like to travel to parts of the world that aren't typically viewed as being places that we as black women would travel to. So I really want to do something different with that. And so I hope you will find me on my public like page on Facebook, okay? Because I'm probably going to be introducing that in the next few weeks or so. So what I want to speak on briefly is marital data. And I've talked about it before on this channel. Listen, the reality is that with any statistic that people show you, you have to think about certain things. So you have to think about, okay, what's the age range of the group of people selected? What part of the country are they from? Because those things make a huge difference. And that is something that people were pointing out after Steve Harvey did that segment on either ABC or NBC where he talked about the marital rates of black women. And you had a lot of people that were pointing out that the statistics that were being thrown out were a bit unreliable because they included black women ages 18 to 64, when the reality is that the average woman across racial lines in this country is marrying sometime in her late 20s, typically around age 27 or 28. So when you look at marital data and you include women who are 18 to early 20s, that's going to skew the data a little bit because on average they're not going to be married anyway. And then when you look at some older women, there are some women that by the time they're in their 50s and 60s, they may be widowed or they may have gone through a divorce. So maybe it's not really valid to call them unmarried if they're a divorcee. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's just very interesting to look at. So one thing that I want to point out is something that I've seen studied by both the Pew Research Center and the CDC. And they started talking about this in 2015 and again in 2017 when they were saying that as of 2015, 12% of newly married black women are intermarried. So intermarried is when you are in a marriage and your spouse is a different race. And so it's really important to pay attention to current marital trends when you want to get an idea of what's going on currently. And the reality is that this data proves that when black women expand our options and we don't have tunnel vision when it comes to dating and marriage, that we can attract men across the board. So that means we really do have a lot of opportunity to get into the types of relationships that we want, whether you are a black woman who wants to be married, or you're a black woman who doesn't really view marriage as important, but maybe you want a committed relationship, or maybe you're a black woman who doesn't really want to be in a committed relationship at all. The point is that whatever you want, you have the opportunity to get that, okay? The only thing that prevents you from getting what you want is the limitations that you set on yourself. So I am going to put the link to the article that you see here in the description area. And I'm also going to try to see if I can find the data from the CDC. And this is another reminder, because I told y'all this before when there were certain people that were talking about that dinner survey, right, where they were saying a lot of women in the country date just for free meals. And I was pointing out that you have to look at the number of people surveyed, or the age group, or the geographic location, the educational level of the people being studied, so on and so forth. And in all honesty, while there are a lot of different research groups out there, you want to also pay attention to whether or not the source that's being provided to you is a valid source. Okay? Outside of that, if you are in the path of Hurricane Dorian, please, please, please be safe and pay attention to any warnings that you get from your state officials. If they tell you to evacuate, make sure you can get to somewhere safe. If you're in the path of the storm and you plan to ride it out, I hope that you have everything that you need in terms of making sure you know where to go if you need to seek emergency shelter, and enough non-perishable food items, along with water and first aid kits and stuff like that. So I hope you all are safe, and I hope that you fare well in the storm. And to everyone else, I hope you enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Please be safe and have a good time. I will be talking to you all very soon. Bye.